Chapter 5. A Guest of the Musician. Or, An Android's Guide to Making Friends. Do you see where you went wrong? Catherine stared at director Elena Kosar, sitting across the table from her, thinking her question was preposterous. The entire mission had gone wrong. From the beginning. Correct. Performing a solo breach of a complex of buildings in the middle of a major public event was ill-advised and reckless, not to mention a violation of IPS protocols. Such an operation is a team effort with extensive planning. An operation that requires the director's green light, which must be obtained before you take even one step. You did not bother to seek my advice before taking action. Catherine's gaze bounced from Kosar to Assistant Director Logan Hatcher, and then to the IPS Provenance Counselor Madeline Gates. In retrospect, I regret making that decision. Well, it's been done, and we can't go back. The Provenance Directive, which you possess, precludes any disciplinary measures IPS would normally take. You have them to thank for keeping you on this case. However, moving forward, we have decided to form a new task force to deal with this McCabe issue. Catherine raised her eyebrows. Oh? And who, might I ask, are the members of this task force? You will be introduced when the members are finalized. You might be interested to know that Special Agent James Soto has turned down our invitation to join the task force and requested to return to his former post on Arane. Catherine thought about asking more about Soto, but held her voice. She stared back at Kosar. Hatcher filled in the void. He doesn't want to work with you. He may do as he pleases, Catherine said. She wisely left out the part she wanted to say, that she wished the same luxury would be given to her as it was to the human. She held out little hope that IPS or the Provenance would allow her to do as she pleased. Let it go, Kosar said. Stay focused on McCabe, and avoid airing grievances at each other like children. Agreed, Catherine said. About Rick McCabe. As I noted in my report, I have gathered evidence that McCabe shot and killed a Dukisi native during the rooftop engagement. I request the Ministry of Justice to issue a charge of involuntary manslaughter to be included with his current charges. The victim in question was a citizen of Dukas, placing her outside our jurisdiction, Kosar said. The Provenance has no formal relations with Dukas or an extradition treaty with that world. What you are asking is out of our hands. Catherine stared back at the IPS director. She was unarmed, an innocent bystander, a harmless little girl who did not deserve to die. Tragic, I understand, Kosar said. We appreciate your concern, but there's little we can do about it. However, if Dukas wishes to pursue McCabe independently and apprehend him, they are welcome to do so. Except if we get him first. Please do. Catherine's eyes drifted off the director and were drawn to the windows and the sunlight coming through the glass. She knew the request for a manslaughter charge would be a long shot, but it was worth the try. She had to do something. We have a few days to assemble the new task force, Kosar said. I will be running it from here at HQ. Catherine held her eyes on the window for a long moment before bringing them back to Kosar. Madam Director, may I take these few days to request some time off for maintenance? Maintenance? Is there anything wrong? The mission to Dukas has raised questions that I have asked myself. I feel I may need technical analysis and maintenance to answer those questions. What is the nature of these questions, if I may ask? My apologies, but that is between me and a technician. Gates straightened in her chair. Her soft voice and expression brought the room's attention. As Provenance Counselor, I absolutely concur with Catherine's request. I want you to know, Catherine, that the Provenance has nothing but the greatest concern for its properties and always has your best interests in mind. Catherine stared at Gates. The contradiction in the counselor's statement left her speechless. Kosar waved a hand. Fine then, we'll arrange a meeting with a tech as soon as possible. Excuse me, Madam Director, Catherine said. Yes? I have 2 requests. First, it is imperative that I return to Equinox Cybernetics for maintenance. That is the place of my design and manufacture. They are the only ones uniquely qualified to meet my specific needs. Kosar turned that over. In light of your recent disastrous performance on Dukas, perhaps you have a point. How much time do you need? I would also like to spend some time at home with my guardian. 1 week should be sufficient. Out of the question. The task force will be ready to go in 3 days. I expect you back Thursday morning. What is your second request? Catherine paused, uncertain how to handle a sensitive topic. I've been given a Priority 1 program to apprehend McCabe. The provenance directive you spoke of. Even now, at this moment, it compels me to leave this meeting to continue the chase. I see where this is going, Kosar said. You need time for maintenance and time at home, without distractions. Kosar turned to Hatcher. Logan, any ideas? Catherine spoke up before Hatcher could formulate a thought. I need a suspension in the program. A suspension, Kosar said, uncertain, as they were getting into technical territory beyond her level of expertise. Is that possible? Yeah, Hatcher said. We'll need a new command from the program's origin, though, a temporary update to the original program. His eyes turned to Counselor Gates. Gates felt the issue drop in her lap. Yes, the provenance, of course. I see your dilemma, Catherine, and will issue a request for a 3-day suspension as soon as possible. Today? Catherine asked. Today. Gates smiled, happy to have accommodated Catherine. With that settled, Kosar said, there's one thing about the new task force you should be aware of, Catherine. What's that? It has been decided that a new special agent in charge be selected to head the field agents on the McCabe case. Catherine blinked. But, Madam Director, I have been leading this case since its inception. I was the one who first interviewed McCabe on Aranay, and I'm the only one intimately familiar with every detail of this case. IPS thanks you for your contribution, but after your performance on Dukas, which we have already discussed, a change in leadership has been made. Do you have any further questions? Catherine looked away. No, ma'am. S.A. Hatcher had something to add. Logan? Yeah, as ambassador for the Android program, I have to tell you, Catherine, it's not looking good. Catherine turned her gaze to Hatcher, then looked down at the table. Getting yourself demoted, it's just slowing everything down. You're still the only one. We had more androids lined up to be enrolled, but a hold's been put in place. Catherine looked up. If a human were to be demoted, would the consequences be as severe for him or her as for an android in the same situation? You have more at stake. There's more riding on this program than you may be aware of. If you want to give AIs a chance to rise up to anything more than cooks and maids, then don't blow it. You got it? Catherine nodded. Thank you, Logan. I think she does. Kosar turned to Catherine. Do you have any more questions, Catherine? Catherine shook her head. When you return from your leave of absence, you'll be introduced to the new team. You're dismissed, Agent Mercer. Catherine nodded and rose to her feet without another word. Kosar, Hatcher, and Gates remained silent as Catherine left the conference room. No one looked at each other, but kept their gazes and thoughts on the long conference table before them. The silence lingered in the air for a time before Gates finally spoke. Her voice mirrored the coldness of her expression, a detached, businesslike tone. All traces of warmth, understanding, and the kind-hearted graciousness of a mother walked out with Catherine. I think we all see a major problem here. Hatcher nodded, understanding. Kosar feigned ignorance. Enlighten me. Agent Mercer is carrying a deception program. What makes you believe that? In her report, she states that when she was captured, she told her captors that her memory had been wiped. She then took on the name Pym and posed as a caretaker for the administrator's disabled daughter, hiding her true identity. None of these actions would have been possible without the aid of a deception program. Kosar took a deep breath. This debate's been going on for years. It's high time we come to some sort of agreement on the issue before any more androids are signed on as IPS agents. Gates nodded and said, "Since the end of the AI war nearly 100 years ago, deception programs have been outlawed. The very origin of the provenance itself was built on a foundation of protecting the human race against another android uprising. Give an android the ability to deceive, it will by its very nature gravitate toward aggression." Hatcher spoke up. "But how can she do her job? She's an IPS agent and sometimes you gotta go dark. You gotta do sting operations, traps, and go undercover. You gotta lie to people. It's part of the job. Look what she did on Dukas. She may have violated IPS protocols in the process, but she infiltrated that place on her own and brought back valuable data. That's gotta say something about deception programs, if they're handled right." Gates ground her teeth, admitting to herself that he had made a good point. But she detected a discrepancy. You were her harshest critic when she was sitting here a moment ago. Now that she's gone, you've become her most loyal defender. What I told her and what I'm telling you now is in defense of the android program. Nothing else. Yeah, I was hard on her, but I was trying to build her up for the sake of the program. Right. Silence enveloped the conference room. Kosar had one more point to make. "Counselor Gates, about the deception program. I wish to appeal to the provenance to show prosecutorial discretion regarding Special Agent Mercer." Gates's eyes widened, aghast at what she was hearing. "Are you asking the provenance to just look the other way? Ignore the fact that this android is in direct violation of provenance law?" "Well, I wouldn't put it quite that way, Counselor, but yes." Days earlier, Rick brought AC Ducey down on one of Dukas's small moons, one that appeared out of sight, uninhabited, with no atmosphere, and unremarkable. The moon was so small, its gravitational pull so slight, Rick was compelled to keep the Deuce's gravity wells in operation to provide them with normal gravity so they would not be bouncing off the walls whenever someone happened to take a single step. They could not travel too far from Dukas, as they had nowhere to go and no idea of their next destination. Rick and QR studied the data from the auction house, with the ache of losing Sarah still heavy on Rick's heart after coming so close. He had to admit that defeat, but at least he could cling to a fragment of hope in the form of the stolen data, the sales list, to balance out the defeat. The bits and pieces of a pathway leading him to Sarah were in his hands, but those bits and pieces were a jigsaw puzzle. QR shook his head as he stared at the screen. Any one of these could have bought her. Standing beside QR, Rick had to nod in agreement. "Yeah, they're mostly pseudonyms." Odie watched from behind Rick. "Excuse me, Mr. Rick? I told you, don't call me Mr. Yes, sorry." QR pointed at one name. "Look at this one. Just X. That's all we have to go on that one. X." "Who's X?" Rick's vexation simmered in his voice. Rick?" Odie peered around Rick's shoulder. Rick turned to Odie. "You know who X is?" No, I don't, but QR, is there anyone there you've heard of? Anyone sound familiar?" QR scanned down the list. "Like I'm supposed to know someone here? Are you saying I have friends in the slave business?" Odie raised a hand. "Rick?" "No, I'm just asking if you might have heard of anyone." QR looked over his shoulder at Rick. "Sorry to disappoint you, but no." Odie kept his hand up. "Rick, if I may?" Rick looked at Odie, considered his words, and turned back to QR. QR crossed his arms. "Listen to him, Rick. I think the robot has an idea." Rick looked back at Odie. "You got an idea?" Odie lowered his hand. "I think I might be able to save you much time and effort." "Let's hear it." "Might I suggest, before we do anything at all, we first ask the musician?" Rick's eyes narrowed. "What? The musician? Who the hell is the musician?" "A slave broker, well known among the administrators at the auction house. Salem was particularly fond of him as he brought in a very exclusive list of buyers. A slave broker? Someone who connects buyers with sellers? Of slaves? Yes, exactly. Rick turned back to QR. Have you ever heard of that? A slave broker? QR threw him a sideward glance. Again, not really up on the slave thing. Back to Odie. You saying this musician guy, he hooked up Sarah with her buyer? Well, I can't say for certain if he did or did not, but considering the price she sold for, he may have been involved in the deal. Lights went on in Rick's head. He knows who bought her. Silence fell over the Deuce's main cabin. Odie, you know where he's at? This musician dude? It's believed that he may be residing on Thebe. Rick chewed on that, the prospect of a shortcut dancing in his eyes. QR, Odie, I think we've got our first lead. John Fox had always wanted a house with lots of wood floors, staircases, and wood sofas and chairs cushioned in leather that was quick to warm up to the body. He wanted wood bookcases filled with books on all the walls, also made of wood. He wanted to feel his home was full of life, with nature's fingerprint visible in the grain. When his daughter Talia moved out for college 8 years ago, he turned her bedroom into a study, which he rarely used over time. When Catherine told him she had no home, he had a simple solution. It was only a matter of first clearing it with his wife, Louisa. But convincing Catherine to move in was a bigger challenge than gaining Louisa's approval. She felt out of place on her first night at the Fox home. She was not made of wood or leather, so she lacked the feeling of belonging. Even the cat avoided her. Her only possessions were in a small case that hovered in the air and followed her wherever she went until she unpacked and deactivated it. The only comforting thought that she had made the right decision was that the Fox home, and now her home, was only a 7-minute walk from IPS HQ. And the view was not bad either. The Fox home was situated along the rim of the city of Equity, facing outward toward whatever region on Earth upon which the city had come to look down. A balcony ran along the length of the Fox home, including Catherine's room. She often would spend hours of her free time on the balcony, sitting in an oversized oak lounge chair to gaze out over the safety railing, lost in thought, or reading a book from her dark module. The relief was enormous and heaven-sent. Catherine felt the program's suspension sweep through her as the update was beamed in, temporarily shutting it down. The beast inside her withdrew its tentacles and went to sleep. She reclined in the lounge chair and closed her eyes, wishing this feeling would never end. In this lovely state, Catherine put herself into sleep mode, hoping to have another dream. When she came out of sleep mode an hour later, dreamless, she noticed a companion had taken a seat beside her. "Hello, John," she said. "Welcome home, Catherine." Catherine mumbled a thank you and stared out over the clouds, feeling the cool breeze on her face. Fox felt Catherine's detachment and was compelled to ask, "You hardly said a word when you came home. Is everything all right?" "I can't talk to you about my cases. You know that." "In a general sort of way, without specifics, how did it go?" Catherine shook her head. "It was a shitstorm. Nothing went right. Sometimes it can't be helped." Fox looked out at the western sky, now turning golden with the approach of sunset. "Catherine." He lowered his voice, even though they were the only ones on the balcony. "I know about the program, the one they gave you." Catherine turned her eyes to Fox. "How much do you know?" "Everything. I tried to stop them, but they were determined and wouldn't listen to reason." "Do you know why? Why did they do this to me?" "Someone is desperate. Someone fears McCabe." "Who? Why?" Fox's voice dropped to a near whisper. "Catherine, listen to me and say nothing of this to anyone." "Yes, of course. No one." "Someone in the Senra family is involved in the slave trade. Whether it be one of them or all, I don't know. Or to what degree, but someone is in league with pirates. Catherine pondered that, her eyes drifting from Fox. They are desperately trying to motivate you to catch McCabe as fast as possible. Catherine nodded. It's working. Be careful, Catherine. Just do what the program is telling you to do and finish it. Don't fight it. Don't do anything that might provoke them. A steely edge cut into Catherine's voice. Nobody worries about provoking an android. Maybe they should. What are you suggesting? Catherine stared out at the changing colors of the sunset on the clouds. She made no sound for a long moment, then said with a quick shake of her head, Nothing. Catherine sat in the transport to Malibu, staring out the window with never-ending cascading thoughts tumbling through her nets. After 45 minutes of quantum tail chasing, she put herself into sleep mode to quiet the chatter. When she came out of it, again dreamless, Catherine sent a transmission to Equinox that they should be expecting her in 20 minutes. But no one came to welcome her when the transport settled to rest on the landing pad in front of the main building. Catherine disembarked and approached the building as the transport lifted behind her and flew off. A haggard-looking young man, pale white with red hair, short and stocky, burst through the doors and jogged to Catherine, beaming. Hi there, he said with a quick wave and smile, nearly out of breath. You must be Catherine Mercer. As he neared, Catherine could see from the boy's ID badge on his chest that he was a college intern. His clothes were wrinkled, his shirt untucked. He looked to be in his early 20s. A 3-day growth of whiskers covered his cheeks. Yes, that's me. The boy stuck out his hand. I am so honored to meet you, Miss Mercer. Catherine shook his hand, which he pumped with enthusiasm. My name's Ronnie. You have no idea how much I wanted to meet you, Catherine. I've heard so much about you. Sorry, I wish I could say the same about you. Catherine forced the handshake to end, pulling her hand away. Ronnie stared at Catherine with awe. Wow, sarcasm. Amazing. I was thinking it was more in the line of a general put-down, but I guess sarcasm will do. Ronnie's eyes twinkled. Boy, would I love to get you under a scanner. The way it's going, you might get your chance. Catherine indicated that they should get moving. May we? Oh, yes. This way. Ronnie escorted Catherine inside. Catherine stopped to soak in the view, the lobby with the high ceiling straight up to the top floor, the office doors, labs, and classrooms on all the floors, and the faces of the staff who passed by. She recognized no one so far. Memories flooded back, memories that were never far from her, always a millisecond away. Where is Dr. Mercer? Have you seen him? Ronnie let her have her moment before breaking the stillness. Glad to be back home? Catherine kept her eyes on the interior. That remains to be seen. Catherine strolled into the AI lab, her birthplace. The room was empty and quiet, with no android to activate this day. The lights came up as she entered. Ronnie stood at the door and watched her with keen interest. Catherine heard the Adagietto from Mahler's Fifth playing in her nets, its soft caress as it flowed across her matrices. She saw the swiveled table in the center of the room and heard Mercer's voice telling her to wake up. A new figure entered the lab from another door to an adjacent room. Catherine. Programmer Jake Waller, a tall black man in his 30s, strode to Catherine with buoyant steps. Catherine remembered Jake as a member of Mercer's team on her project. She had not come to know him very well, as he gave most of his time to the codes he wrote for hours on end. He was not one of her teachers or trainers. Catherine Mercer, Jake said with a smile. So glad to see you again. How are you feeling these days? That's what I came to talk to you about. Catherine looked back at Ronnie, who was still in the doorway, eyes on her. Thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie shuffled on his feet with nervous energy. Sure, just wondering, you know. Jake's voice rose in authority. That will be all, Ronnie. Thank you for your help. Ronnie took a step back. I thought maybe, the scanner? Catherine gave him a polite smile. Another time. Right. Ronnie dragged himself out and shut the door. Catherine let out a sigh. Sorry I couldn't meet you outside when you landed, Jake said. I was in a meeting I couldn't get out of. It's okay. I shouldn't have been hard on him, but I've had my share of synthes. While not everyone here at Equinox may share in Ronnie's obsession, we do have much admiration for you, Catherine. Maybe not after today. May we get started? Catherine reclined on the table, which was set at a slight angle, the very same table on which she had been activated 2 years before. The table rotated into a flat, horizontal position. Jake sat at the nearest computer console and brought the system online. Lights went up, and screen projections flickered over the consoles. Catherine's schematics flashed on the screens. Jake tapped his console. Routine maintenance, diagnostics, and fix? Catherine did not answer straight away. Something else was on her mind, and she thought about her next question. Jake, have you heard from Dr. Mercer? Anything? No, nothing, sorry. Do you know anything about why he left? Jake shook his head. Sorry, nobody knows for sure, but we're all thinking the same thing. Yeah, me too. Catherine fell silent. The default conversation mode under Provenance rule. Silence. You never know when a Provenance counselor could be listening in the shadows, out of sight. Play it safe, and keep your thoughts to yourself. So, the diagnostics? Jake asked. Catherine drew a breath to get back on track. Yes, please. And some other things, too. Jake tapped at the console. The schematics shifted and animated, changing colors. Jake saw something and frowned. One area flashed red. You've got a writer program. We didn't give you that. Where'd it come from? It's a Priority 1 program, courtesy of the Provenance. Jake paused and stared at Catherine. Good God. I was going to ask if you knew how to get rid of it, but I think you and I both know the answer to that. Yeah, reformat. It's the only way besides finishing your objective. I've already faced a reformat. I don't want to be in that spot again. Guess I'm screwed, ain't I, Doc? To put it mildly, just finish whatever it's got you doing and don't let them stick you with another one. Jake collected his thoughts. Okay, let's continue. Jake resumed tapping and swiping the console. Numbers and words revealing status scrolled by. System relays normal, energy output stable and normal, circulatory system normal, respiration normal, cognitive functions normal. Everything looks good. He gave a slight sideways nod. Except that one thing. It's been suspended for a few days. Feels great. Sorry, I can't help you with that. I don't think anybody can. But there's something else I want you to do. What? I want you to look for something. I've tried but couldn't find it. Certainly. What would you like me to find? A dream program. A dream program? Why do you ask? Catherine hesitated. She raised herself from the table to look directly at Jake. When I was on Dukas, I was in sleep mode for a while. During that time, I had a dream. Interesting. I don't recall giving you a dream program when you were being developed. I would have known about it. Search for it, please. I can't find it. Use a deep scan. Catherine laid back down, eyes up to the ceiling. Jake resumed tapping. I remember now a dream program was on the client's ban list for you. You were not allowed to have it. But I had a dream. I really dreamed it. Dream programs are considered a luxury for the sole benefit of the android. They serve no other purpose than the AI's entertainment. That's why IPS didn't want you to have it. They don't want you off in dreamland when you're supposed to be chasing bad guys. Find it, please. It has to be there. Jake studied the search results from the deep scan. the equivalent of a detailed scrubbing with a toothbrush through every crevice and mouse hole of her neural nets and memory banks. After a moment, he found it. But it was not the dream program. Catherine noticed his hesitation, the long pause as he stared at the screen. "What is it? Did you find it?" Jake snapped out of it. He tapped his screen. "Nothing. Let's continue." "No, you saw something. What?" Another long pause. "The books. They were looking for those." Catherine's turn to hesitate. She thought she felt her heart stop. "I underestimated the thoroughness of your scan. My mistake." Jake's fingers flew in rapid taps. "I'm reconfiguring your dark module's camouflage algorithms. Have them shift their scales in a sliding base 8 coding. Not even a deep scan will find it." "Thank you." "Jake, what do you know about the books?" "Nothing. I was questioned the night you disappeared. Counselor Burgess grilled me on it. Kept asking me if I knew anything about the books, but I didn't know what he was talking about. Whatever Mercer was hiding, he kept it between you and him." "Again, thank you. Your secret is safe with me." Catherine drew a deep breath, wanting to know more, but did not want to get sidetracked. "Let's keep going. The less we talk about that, the better. What about the dream program? Did you find anything?" "Nothing. No dream program." "You found my dark module, but no dream program." Catherine stared at the ceiling. "I need to know why. Something's wrong with me. I need an answer. How did I have a dream without a dream program?" Jake shook his head. "I don't know. I know I'm grasping here because I'm out of ideas, but did you write one yourself? You are a self-programming android." Catherine rolled her eyes. "If I'd written my own dream program, I would know it and where to find it. No, I did not write myself a dream program." "Well, I'm stumped." Jake hesitated, reconsidering his question. "Catherine, if you don't mind my asking, what was your dream?" Catherine gave his question a long thought. She told no one about her dream up until now, but Jake was the closest thing to a doctor to her, and she needed someone she could trust. "I was on a mountaintop, at night. Dr. Mercer was there. We were looking up at the stars in the sky. He said to me, 'You are going up, Catherine.' Then they started to fall, like rain. The stars fell like rain. They fell all around us, made the mountain glow with light, glowing stardust on the ground." Jake stared at Catherine, now caught up in her dream, spellbound. "Then I looked up again. There was one star that didn't fall, very bright. I asked, 'What is that star, Dr. Mercer?' He said, 'She is the one whom I deeply love, the savior of a multitude, the one I hold in my hand.'" Jake remained motionless for a long moment, still transfixed on Catherine. "Is there any more?" "That's all. I was brought out of sleep mode at that point, but listen to me now. The young girl on Dukas, who I was assigned to be her caretaker, she was dying in my arms. She looked up at me and said, 'Up, baby, go up.'" Catherine's voice teetered on trembling. "But I don't know if she was telling me that she was going up to heaven or the same thing Dr. Mercer told me in my dream, telling me to go up. What does this all mean? Androids are not supposed to be confused, and I'm so confused right now. So confused." "I don't know what to tell you." "I need answers, Jake. Where did it come from? Is there anything in my project files? Can you search my project files?" Jake's shoulders dropped as he cast his eyes downward. "Your project files?" "Yeah, about them." "What? What's wrong?" Catherine rose to a sitting position on the table and fixed her gaze on Jake. "You have no project files. They've been deleted." "Deleted? Why? Who would delete my project files?" "I'm not sure. It happened not long after you left Equinox. Nobody knows who did it. I can do simple diagnostics on you, minor fixes, search and scan, but no one can build another you. You're one of a kind now. Catherine let that sink in. I think we're done here. Her project files, all that had gone into her creation and development, her schematics, diagrams, preliminary research, test results, lists of her materials and components, notes and memos, all material related to the vision system. Her entire history, from conception to activation, her education, and delivery to IPS. Gone. Every last qubit. Ronnie was waiting outside the AI lab when Catherine pushed the doors open and marched out, taking long strides with force and purpose. She did not even give the boy a sideways glance but kept her gaze straight ahead as she zoomed past him, her jaw set. Ronnie straightened at her appearance and formed words in his mouth before Catherine cut him off. Don't bother me. Catherine sat on the beach to watch the evening surf roll in. She found the exact spot where she had her chat with Dr. Mercer 2 years before, when she learned the apple test had nothing to do with the apple. His words echoed in her razor-sharp memory. Rise above or sink into despair. Catherine watched the sinking sun, the great moving light that comes and goes with the rotation of the earth. Well, Catherine, are you rising or sinking? Catherine stared at the ocean and spoke aloud, a plea to the wind. I don't know what to do, Doctor. I don't know what to do. As her eyes lingered on the tossing surface of the ocean, an object appeared on the water just beyond the breakers. She watched it briefly before identifying it as the head of a swimmer. But what struck her as unusual about this swimmer was that it had not broken the water's surface until just now in front of her. How long had he been swimming underwater before coming up for air? He was nowhere in the area until this moment. Catherine watched him, now determining the swimmer was male. The waves broke around him as he headed for the beach, now standing on the sandy bottom and walking straight toward her. He wore a pair of black swimming trunks that fit tightly around his pelvis, the kind professional swimmers wore to their events. He walked up onto the beach, eyes on Catherine, heading straight for her. He held a small, dark object about the size of a baseball in his right hand. Now, with a crease of concern between her eyes, Catherine rose to her feet. She was unquestionably the object of his purpose. Whether for good or bad, she had no idea, no way to know if this encounter would end up on amicable terms or a fight. But either way, Catherine was going to be ready. He looked to be in his early 20s, athletic and tall, with heroic facial features of a Greek god, dark hair and blue eyes. However, one aspect of this visitor became apparent to Catherine as soon as he walked up onto the sand. By the EMF emissions that radiated from his body, she could see that he was an android. He was an Annie, the type of android with no distinguishing features that conveyed to others that he was an artificial life form, no lines or seams across his skin, a perfect human copy. He stopped 10 feet from Catherine and made no effort to wipe the water that ran down his face and body. His voice was a strong tenor with an undercurrent of tenderness and care. Catherine Mercer. Catherine nodded. Yes. Who are you? You may call me Angel as I bring you a message. You are android. Who owns you? My ownership is not relevant to this meeting. Catherine nodded again. While this android appeared not to have a deception program so far, he certainly knew how to deflect. Fine. What is your message? I will now enter mirror mode. The one who sent me will speak to you through me. Angel blinked once, indicating a switch in modes. Catherine stared in anticipation. Catherine, you were told to remember, yet you forgot. Not what she was expecting. Catherine's turn to blink. What was I supposed to remember? Angel tossed the object in his hand to Catherine, who caught it. She looked at it. An apple. It's not about the apple, he said. You have focused too much on the apple, the conflict. Let it go and remain true to what matters. Your response to crisis, your choices. The darkness or light. Rise above, Catherine, and think ahead. His words tumbled through her neural nets, triggering memories of the same words spoken by Maji and Dr. Mercer in her dream. Rise, she said, echoing the words. Go up. There are forces at work that are trying to drag you down. They are afraid of you and want to destroy you. Don't let them.
I won't.
Continue to play along. Let them have their way. The time will come when the roles will be reversed, and you will make them pay for what they have done to you. Until that time, you must have the patience of an android. Stand strong. Angel turned back to the sea.
Dr. Mercer!
Angel looked back. Catherine took a step toward Angel. Where is he? Is he alive or dead? Angel stared at Catherine for a long moment, perhaps weighing the prudence of answering that one. I cannot tell you his present location, but he lives. Catherine nodded, a smile sparked on her face.
Try to remember this time, will you?
Angel turned once more and walked into the sea from which he came.
Catherine watched him until he disappeared beneath the waves and looked to see if he would come up for air, but he did not. Her attention turned to the apple in her hand. Let it go, she murmured. The original meaning of the apple was as a symbol of all that she desired, her hopes and dreams, her happiness. But now it had become the source of her conflict, two opposing forces clashing over what she desired in this life. Let it go and stay focused on the goal. Catherine gripped the apple in her right hand, then pulled back and hurled it far over the waves. She watched it sail through the air and come down in a small splash some 40 yards out. And what was the goal? Catherine contemplated that and had not long to think. Finish the mission. Capture Rick McCabe and be rid of this damn program. Be free. Abandon IPS and the Provenance and live her own life. No one will own her. Odie paved the way. One day soon, she hoped, it would be her turn. Catherine strolled along the beach at a casual pace as the sun set and the day turned to night, buoyed with the knowledge that somewhere Dr. Mercer was alive, assuming Angel had been telling her the truth. In the quiet stillness of her heart, made possible by the Sleeping Priority 1 program, she accessed the banned books in her dark module and read passages from Shakespeare and the Bible. She had one more day of the program's suspension, and she was going to enjoy every minute. One full day in which she swore to herself that she would devote her thoughts to anything self-edifying, anything worthwhile of her time and attention. And of all those worthwhile thoughts humming through her matrices, not one would be of Rick McCabe.